verbal or life.
Welcome back. Wildfires raging in California right now. 3 out-of-controlled wildfires are spreading in different parts of Los Angeles County. The flames are tearing through the over 4,000 acres already. At this hour, all 3 fires are not contained at all. LA firefighters reportedly running out of water, with fire hydrants in Pacific Palisades coming up dry. Fire officials warning that winds will continue through tomorrow, with gusts in some areas topping 99 miles an hour. Tens of thousands are under evacuation orders, and the zones are expanding by the hour. County officials calling this a worst-case scenario. These wildfires are expected to be the costliest in U.S. history. Joining me right now is California Congressman Ro Khanna, a member of the House Oversight and Armed Services Committee.
That's crazy. Hollywood is burning up. What does that even mean? This is crazy. Anyway, welcome to Verbal on Live. My name is Noel. Over here, just trying to report the news to you guys. So come take a look at what's going on right now with the wildfires.
And the House Select Committee on China. Congressman, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Great to see you, and my heart goes out to all of those suffering with the California wildfires back home.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, I know this is not your district, but I wanted to get your take on what you can tell us about the impact. Why are we seeing so many wildfires recently? And can you give us any information in terms of what this is going to mean in terms of the damage and the impact?
Well, these are historic and horrific fires. My district is up in Northern California, but I have many friends near the LA area. The reason is that LA basically wasn't getting any rainfall, so it's particularly dry, and this fire is spreading rapidly. I'm just very grateful to the extraordinary firefighters who were out there all night last night, are still out there trying to contain this.
Yes, as our...
How is this even possible? Like, don't they have a plan for this? Like, if this happens, this is what we're going to do. Where's the plan?
We thank God for our firefighters of this great nation. Let me get your take on the business at hand, Congressman. The Laken-Riley Act, the first piece of legislation approved by the new 119th Congress yesterday. 48 Democrats joined with all Republicans to pass this bill. 159 Democrats voted against it, including yourself. The bill requires federal immigration authorities to detain illegal migrants arrested for theft. It allows states to sue the Department of Homeland Security for crimes committed by illegal migrants. And of course, it was named after Georgia nursing student Laken-Riley, who was murdered by an illegal Venezuelan migrant.
Now, how can they vote against this? Like, those 159 House Democrats got to be primaried out.
She was jogging on the University of Georgia's campus. Congressman, you voted against this act. Why?
Well, what happened to Laken-Riley was outrageous, and my heart goes out to her family. And any violent criminal, any criminal of a serious offense who's convicted ought to be deported. But my objection to this bill was that the standard was arrest. And in our country, in my view, you're innocent until proven guilty. Why not make sure that someone who has been arrested for shoplifting or arrested for a burglary and has been here maybe 10, 20 years, maybe a DACA kid, that they first get the court process and are convicted before they're deported.
An illegal migrant, you want to give them lawyer. You want to lawyer them up and help them fight the system instead of just deporting them for breaking the law. Come on now, this is crazy.
When you say before they're deported, President Trump says he's going to start deporting people who have been convicted of crimes.
Well, conviction, this bill didn't talk about conviction. This bill wants, the law already says that if you are convicted of a crime or if you admit to a serious crime, that is grounds for deportation. What this law was doing is expanding that category and saying it's not just conviction. If you're arrested, then you can be deported. And I believe that you should have the legal process in this country if you're arrested to say, look.
So you want to give lawyers to the whole world. Anybody that makes it to this country, you get housing, you get medical, you get a lawyer to fight whatever case or however you broke the crime. You get a lawyer, you get to fight it before being deported. Come on now.
Look, I was innocent. I don't deserve a conviction.
Well, I mean, it doesn't appear to bode well, the fact that we had, such disagreement over the Speaker and Mike Johnson, and now such disagreement over the Laken-Riley Act. President-elect Trump is trying to keep his options open on the best way to implement his agenda. But I wonder if there's going to be any unity on any of this. Here's Trump yesterday. Watch this.
I like one big, beautiful bill, and I always have, I always will. But if two is more certain, it does go a little bit quicker because you can do the immigration stuff early. I can live either way. I like the idea of the one big bill, but I can live either way. The debt ceiling was given to us. It shouldn't have been, but it was put in our lap. And what I want in terms of debt ceiling isn't the ceiling. I just don't want to see a default. Debt ceiling is not about raising a lot of money. It's really just about extending it. I just want to see an extension.
Congressman, are you poised to support President Trump's agenda?
Well, it depends what he proposes. If he says let's cap interest card fees at 10%, which he campaigned on, I would support that. If he does what Steve Bannon has said, which is make sure that the billionaires pay more tax in this country, I would support that. By the way, the billionaires were paying 20% effective tax today. They were paying 30 to 35% in the 90s when we had 3.5% economic growth. If he says I want to invest in manufacturing, I would support that. I may support some of his issues on tariffs on strategic products coming from China. But if he's just going to say I want tax cuts for the wealthy and tax breaks for that, I can't support that.
Well, hold on. You're a California lawmaker. Do you want to see the SALT deduction cap lifted?
I do, within reason. I mean, I think that it should be lifted to an amount that covers working and middle-class families. But that's one issue. What I rather focus on is giving Americans in the working and middle class a raise the minimum wage. What I rather focus on is making investments in this country in manufacturing. But I do support that SALT proposal, but I'm not going to vote for it if it means giving more tax breaks to billionaires and corporations, many of whom have outsourced our jobs.
Okay, well, you just said, look, if he executes what he campaigned on, what President Trump campaigned on largely is securing the border and cutting taxes. Are you going to support those things? Will you support $100 billion that they're looking to get allocated from Congress for the deportations and the security of the border?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the details. I said I'd support some of the things that.
Well, that's the details. $100 billion they need to carry out these deportations and to secure the border by building the wall. Will you support it? That's the detail.
Well, I think it has to be part of a comprehensive immigration package that we had, by the way, in the Biden administration. And if the details include that we're treating people with dignity, that there are.
No, illegal migrants, we got to deport them, period. Come the legal way, apply, wait like everybody else. Look at this man trying to fight for people breaking the law. Come on now.
Immigration judges, there are more of them that we need, that people actually have their due process. And then if they have committed felonies or crimes, yes, they should be deported. And of course, we need to secure the border. So it depends on the actual language, but no one would just.
Why politicians like this fight so hard to keep the illegal migrants in here and keep coming in? You know, like the border policy that they were trying to get in here was allowing 4,000 people to come in per day. And like they saw that as okay. Why? Who is paying this man off to allow this to happen?
Say, okay, I'm going to support $100 billion without even reading the bill. Even
Right.
Republicans probably wouldn't do that.
You did that with Obamacare, right?
I supported the Affordable Care Act. I wasn't in Congress back then, but I wasn't in Congress. I still looked at the bill. As you know, it was largely modeled after Mitt Romney's efforts in Massachusetts.
I'm laughing because I know Nancy Pelosi said we have to pass the bill before we actually read it. But I want to get your take on whether or not getting the SALT cap lifted is going to be enough for you to get on board with the other issues that Trump is trying to execute. And that includes border security, and that includes raising the debt ceiling, and that includes energy permitting. Are you on board with those things if you get your SALT cap lifted?
Yeah.
No, because
Okay.
what the tax breaks are going to do is explode a deficit that could go to $4 trillion of deficit spending. And by the way, that's going to put pressure, as you know, on mortgages and interest rates because we've got a $36 trillion debt.
So this guy is going to be one of those Democrats that is going to go up against Trump. This is just showing us what we're up against.
Now you want to expand it more. Treasury bonds rates are going to go up. That's going to put pressure on home mortgages. Prices are going to go up. It's just fiscally irresponsible.
Are you going to talk with President Trump about this? I mean, look, he's meeting with GOP lawmakers this weekend, and Politico is reporting some specifics in terms of what officials are planning to offer. And they're talking about expanded state and local tax deductions at the meetings at Mar-a-Lago this weekend in exchange for you and others who want the SALT deduction lifted to get in line behind the agenda. So if you get that accommodation for SALT, you're still not committing to being on board with the rest of this agenda, are you?
No, look, the SALT deduction, as you know, Maria, was eliminated by Donald Trump. Now, I'm glad that he's reversed course and is considering allowing some of those deductions. But no, I'm not going to sign off to massive tax breaks for corporations and increasing the deficit when we need to be focused on raising wages for most working class Americans.
Yeah, but, you know, when you look at where you are, it's going to be all Republicans supporting President Trump's plans. And I'm wondering what you want to see. I mean, you talked about, you know, interest rates, caps. You talked about you didn't talk about the main things that President Trump campaigned on, which was border security. Are you on board with border security or not?
I am on board with border security. It has to be the right bill. But I'll tell you what I want to see. I want to see what Steve Bannon said. I want to see the corporations in this country actually paying tax. I want to see the billionaires paying tax. I want to see a wage raise for working middle class. Will President Trump raise the minimum wage? I want to see massive investment in manufacturing, steel, aluminum.
He just announced massive investment from some of these big, as you say, billionaires. Yesterday, 20 billion, a month ago, 100 billion. So when you say investment in the U.S., that's what he's doing.
Well, I support some of that, but what we need to do is look at places, factory towns that were deindustrialized, and you need public-private partnerships to be investing in manufacturing. I have a bill on steel, bipartisan bill, to build new steel plants. President Trump said he wants to be the president who brings back steel and aluminum. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Biotechnology. Why aren't we making pills here? Why are we making them all in China? I worked with Senator Young, bipartisan biotech commission to make pill factories in America. If he does that, I would support that. So there are areas that we agree, but what I'm not going to support is more massive tax breaks for the very, very wealthy who are paying a lower tax rate today than they were paying in the 90s.
You don't want the tax extended. You don't want the tax cut plan extended.
I certainly don't want it for people making over $400,000 and for some of these millionaires and billionaires. Okay. No, I believe they can pay more tax, and we should be investing that in healthcare, education, infrastructure, manufacturing.
All right, Congressman, great to have you on. Thank you so much, sir. Will Connor in D.C. We'll be right back.
Oh, man, thank God the Democrats are not going to be in charge anymore. But back to California burning up. Shout out to all the viewers. My name is Noel over here at
Board of Supervisors Chair
Verbal Online.
Catherine Barger.
Let me put this in. So, let me see if I can fix this real quick. California burning up. You know, if you tuned in, my name is Noel here at Verbal On Life, trying to be verbal and talk about what's going on out there. Look at the fire in California. Crazy.
Hillsides, we're still feeling those really strong gusts, so they could carry some of these embers to other areas. But from what we can tell, no structures have been lost here in this area, which is great news. We haven't heard about any injuries, and we are keeping an eye on this area as crews seem to be making somewhat progress on the hillside here. But this wind event is not over, and we are seeing crews being shifted into some of the other areas here in Sylmar. So an indication that maybe some flames or some embers may be carried over into other areas and igniting additional spot fires. But that's the latest here in Sylmar. Bob and Brooke.
All right, that is decent news there, Mario. Thank you so much. Let's go back to Gigi Graciette. She's covering the Palisades fire. Mario had been talking about the winds there, Gigi, and we know that we are not out of the woods yet. In fact, with sunrise, sometimes they expect that these winds could actually pick up.
How is this even possible, man?
That is a huge concern for firefighters here on the scene. We're on Sunset Boulevard at Chautauqua. Let me show you. Let me get out of the way here and show you. Homes are continuing to burn. And if photographer Tony Butita actually pans from that burning home, if you pan to the right, you can make through those hedges another structure that is on fire right now. And I can tell you, this is making national headlines. So many folks familiar, of course, with Sunset Boulevard. It's known around the country. When people travel to Los Angeles, they head through Sunset Boulevard to head to our beaches, to Pacific Coast Highway, where, by the way, the Palisades fire actually jumped PCH yesterday and set cars that were on the beach side of PCH, set those cars on fire. And we actually saw a structure that appeared to be lost. It was unclear if it was a lifeguard tower, tower, and possibly shack. Unclear what it was. Sometimes it's so hard to tell exactly what is burning. But that shows you the magnitude, the spread of this fire. And we are awaiting an update on the acreage. They're doing aerial mapping of this fire because obviously they can't get to all of these neighborhoods because they're busy.
So 3 fires at the same time. How is this even possible? Are there cameras that show how this got started? Like, what's the history here?
Truly being overwhelmed, even though there are hundreds and hundreds of firefighters, not only from Los Angeles. We have our Los Angeles City firefighters here on the scene. Of course, they're being assisted by Los Angeles County Fire. And we have fire departments have sent us units from throughout the state of California and obviously from throughout Southern California. Let's talk about the injuries. This story is going to be so much more than the amount of homes lost. And I can tell you the amount of structures and homes and houses that were lost is going to be high. The story will be much more than that because we are hearing about multiple injuries. Let's start with the Los Angeles City firefighter injured yesterday, 25 years old.
And this got reported at 5 in the morning.
This morning. That is one of multiple people that have been taken to the hospital, some of them with extremely serious burns. And in a Fox 11 Good Day LA exclusive, I can confirm to you that overnight, a man was found on Pacific Coast Highway. The majority of the clothes that he had been wearing had been burnt off his body. He had serious burns to the majority of his body. He was rushed to a burn center where doctors are frantically working to try and save his life. Extremely critical condition.
Whoa.
That is one of multiple burn patients that LA City Fire has confirmed were taken to the hospital. Now, you are looking live at the LAPD here on the scene. They are doing patrols of the entire area, keeping the area safe and making sure that people who don't belong here, like unfortunately we often see looters move into these neighborhoods that are on fire. They are making sure that no one that does not belong here is here. We've seen multiple police just patrolling each and every single street. Again, if you're just joining us on Good Day LA, you are.
That's another problem. Can people go and rob the houses that are empty? So they got to watch out for those crooks, man. That's scary as hell.
Lodge on the corner there, multiple homes were also burning. We were also on the corner of Sunset and Rivas Canyon, multiple homes on both sides of the street.
Whoa.
Burning. And this is so much more because obviously, Bob and Brooke, we all know that houses can be rebuilt. You can get the wood, you can build a house, you can build it bigger, you can build it better.
Yep.
But it is often the memories, those priceless mementos. You know, our late mother left us a teacup that meant the world to us. Our late father left us an umbrella. Things like that, they cannot be replaced. That is the loss. That is the true loss. And of course, we're hoping that all of these folks got out safely.
And also lives. If anybody's lives get ended, that will be a problem. That's horrific. So hopefully people are able to run away before they get burned.
Need to be said that your life is the most important thing here, but I don't at all want to minimize what the trauma of losing your home, watching your entire neighborhood go up in flames. Like that is something no one wants to deal with.
You know, we were in Malibu for the Malibu fires just a few weeks ago, and a representative from Los Angeles County told us that it can take up to 5 years to get everything done so that you can rebuild your home. And that includes dealing with your insurance company, dealing with the county, with the city, with, you know, often finding blame for the fire. Where does the blame lie? Was your coverage in check? Did you even have coverage? It could take up to 5 years. And if you go to Las Virgenes, if you go to the Calabasas area, some houses were never rebuilt after the Woolsey fire. And that representative from LA County Emergency Management told us that some of those folks are still in negotiations, are still dealing with the trauma, trying to get their houses rebuilt. So it is a huge issue when someone loses a home. It's not, oh, let's just rebuild it. It'll be up next, you know, in a couple of months. People can be out of their homes for years at a time.
What's scary about this, Gigi, is that we're still in the middle of this giant Santa Ana wind event. You know, this is far from over. And to your point, I was thinking of the video that I've been seeing, even of just these structures burned along Pacific Coast Highway on the ocean side. Even these places that people have frequented for a long time, like the Real Inn. There was reports that the Mastro's was damaged. The Malibu feed bin also destroyed. So with daylight, we're going to see how widespread and how destructive this is. But no doubt, this is going to be almost apocalyptic when we see all of the damage and how much has been destroyed in this area and how much this community has to be rebuilt.
And we probably won't know for days, Bob, because right now the damage assessment teams, as they're called,
I hope they had insurance. I mean, they should have home insurance. So when this happened, they get all their money back.
structures. We may get an estimate from aerial observations of how many structures were lost, but we're not really going to know that for days until this fire is basically out and those damage assessment teams can get inside, can walk these neighborhoods home by home and give us a tally of the loss. But it is going to be major. Yeah. And our big concern and our thoughts and our prayers go out to all the folks that have been injured, folks that are in the hospital this morning with serious burn injuries, that LA City firefighter with a serious head injury, that man that was found on Pacific Coast Highway with burns all over his body, barely recognizable. The clothes actually burnt off his body. We mention that because it talks to the severity of the fire, what the circumstances were, and how he was caught in the fire. Obviously unclear, and unclear if he was even able to tell first responders. Yesterday, in the thick of it, when this was all happening, Bob and Brooke, there were people calling 911 from their swimming pools.
I heard that.
Bob and Brooke. They were sheltering inside the water of their swimming pool because the fire was all around them. Yeah. I mean, how dramatic is that?
To see families and mothers literally carrying their babies and running down Palisades Drive to get out just because they couldn't even get into their cars and go. It's so shocking. So to know that someone actually got injured, you're also grateful that these people got out and they got out safely. But and heartbreaking that we can't get the air assets up just yet. So hopefully we'll get a respite from the winds. Okay, Gigi, those still some very dramatic pictures there. Still a big effort to save life and property.
Yes, thank you, Gigi. Bob, you know, you were just talking about like what we were watching all day yesterday, like people getting out of their cars. You saw people with babies. You saw people with giant horses, actually, just like walking through neighborhoods. You saw people with their pets, and also seeing video of people who were just out of sorts. Because of all of this, you know what I mean? They're running down the street through all of this smoke, and that was really jarring for me. Is that you kind of lose it a little bit as you're in a panic trying to get to safety.
And you know, some people have planned. You can plan as much as you can, and still, when you're in that moment, you know, panic sets in, and you just try to do what you can to try to save you and your family's life. We do want to show you this evacuation map and a Palisades map, pretty widespread here. This is provided to us by Cal Fire, and you can see this spreads over a very large area.
Right.
And so this is stretched all the way basically down to the coast in the Palisades area. This started at Piedra Morada Drive, and then,
what are the odds?
Now it's expanded eastward. So there's a little concern this morning for Brentwood.
3 fires at the same time.
The Palisades Village area was also impacted as well. So everybody within this region pretty much is going to be impacted there. And of course, as we said, parts of Sunset, Khan is here with a look at more of that. They grounded all of these air assets overnight because of those strong winds.
Yeah, these strong winds unfortunately did come to fruition. We were predicting that hurricane force conditions could happen, and they have been observed. We were looking at Magic Mountain Trek Trail, where wind gusts did peak to about 86 miles per hour, and dangerous wind conditions do continue. As you had pointed out, Bob, that we are in the thick of it still. We're looking at into the early part of the morning. Winds continue to be very ferocious. The high-speed winds continue to push offshore, and winds sustained velocities 30 to 50 miles an hour, still very possible. And it's not just for Ventura County and LA County. We are talking about the IE, Inland Empire, yes, as well as Orange County, all our local mountain areas where gusts could still be in that range, the critical range of 60 to 80 plus miles an hour. We're dealing with these strong, damaging winds that could also create power outages in addition to everything. Fire danger, couple the two, is leading to particularly dangerous situation. Red flag conditions remain in effect through Thursday, especially for the IE and Orange County, meaning that if another fire ignition were to spark, it could be explosive, similar to what we have been seeing with the Palisades fire, the Eaton fire, and the Hurst fire. So another reminder, if you see something, you say something anywhere, just about anywhere across Southern California. In the upper level
all right,
the atmosphere, this is the
is the power lines, obviously, but they do have water here in this neighborhood. They've been tapping every possible hydrant that they can to fight these flames. But at this point, you
Y
can
vamos
see
por otra
that it's
hora.
really interesting how this fire is moving, because there's one home that's still
Dame
standing.
para de
The
grabar.
home right next to it is burned to the ground. And again, that is because of these embers. And as I've been telling you too, as we're speaking to people right before they're evacuating in their cars, they're telling us how devastating this is for them. This is their childhood. This is where they worked hard to buy these homes. These cars that you're seeing are destroyed now and are not salvageable. But fire crews are out here fighting the flames as best they can. You can see that a little bit of this power pole is on fire now as well, and that's because of those embers sparking and flying everywhere as crews continue to fight this fire. There are several thousands.
All right, I'm going to pause it right there. Listen, if you're still watching, thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. California is burning up. This is crazy. 3 fires at the same time. Woo! What can I tell you? Good luck to them. Hopefully they'll figure this out and nobody will get hurt. The houses are going to burn. Insurance should cover it. It is what it is. At least they got their lives. Those who are still alive. Hopefully the majority, if not all of them who lived there, are still alive and they just move somewhere else. But my name is Noel, battling MS, and my phone keeps ringing, and my phone is my camera. So I'm going to get out of here. Please leave a comment. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a like. I'll be back later on in the afternoon. So all I can say is battling MS. I can still walk, I can still talk. Let's make it happen. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Peace.